Then lastly, I'd like to talk about a video game that I've played and completed and now would like to review.
What video game is that, Liam?
It's Bloodborne.
Do you want to explain to the listeners why you have completed Bloodborne?
No, you explain.
So, a while ago, listeners, me, Liam, and Dan, who has guested on the show, were having a discussion about Bloodborne because we'd all played it, but Liam had only played.
I'd killed the first boss.
Liam got up to the first boss, which isn't like distance-wise too far into the game.
No.
Time-wise, it can be quite far into the game, depending on how good you are at the game.
Yeah.
So Liam had come back with a very negative review of Bloodborne.
Yeah.
Said it's not. I don't know. What was your sort of argument? It's not a skill-based thing. It was just like
the difficulty is arbitrary. They instead of making a difficult game, they've just made a game that's annoying to play. That was my major issue with it.
Yeah. To which me and Dan responded, "No, it is difficult. You just don't like it."
Yeah.
And then sort of the argument sort of came to a halt because mine and Dan's point to Liam was, well, you've only got to the first boss, which isn't very far into the game. Like, you've not seen a whole lot yet.
Yeah.
I don't think you can make that judgment on the whole game based on how much you've played. Yeah. So that Liam can make his point, he decided to go and complete Bloodborne.
Yeah.
So now Liam is going to make his point.
It's not difficulty based. It's just arbitrary. It's just... Okay, so listeners, let me explain what I mean by this. With most games, you can save wherever you want, and you can just like... You know, if you're doing a difficult bit, you can either save wherever you want, or there'll be somewhat frequent checkpoints. With Bloodborne, there are checkpoints, but they're not particularly frequent. If you die, you pretty much lose all your progress.
Yeah.
My point is, it's not difficult, the game. There's a couple of caveats to that. 95% of the game is not difficult. It's just annoying. It's not that you have to necessarily be good. You just have to learn where the enemies are. Because sometimes the enemies will just jump out of a wall or something. Not difficult. Most of the enemies are very easy to kill. But when it surprises you with a cheap thing like that, and then, you know, the enemies do kill you quite quickly. So then you've got to replay it all the way to get back to that point. And this time, you know it's going to come, so you can stop it. That's not a difficulty thing. It's just annoying.
I guess the counter argument to that point would be if you were good at the game, right?
Right.
So let's say from mine and Dan's perspective, I won't speak too much for Dan because that's not fair.
Yeah.
So from my perspective, like the game is difficult because, like you said, the enemies kill you quite quickly.
Yeah.
So if you're good at the game, i.e., you've actually learned, not just learned where the enemies are, but like you've learned how to play the game, like when the right time to shoot and stab is and all that stuff. Then when an enemy surprised you, you wouldn't just die, respawn, and have to learn where it was so you could beat it. You'd be good at the game and be like, oh, okay, well, this thing has surprised me, but I've learnt enough about this game that I can react to that. I can dodge and roll. I can shoot. That'd be my. And I'm not necessarily. I didn't complete Bloodborne, and I also don't particularly care.
Yeah, like 9 times.
I just wanted you to finish it, so your point was less.
Like 9 times out of 10, that is what will happen. Like an enemy will come. It might surprise you. It might get one hit in, but you can generally get the upper hand. There will be times when you just like take a wrong turn or whatever, and you're just suddenly surrounded and you're dead.
Yeah, and there's stuff like if you stumble into a boss, there's a couple of bosses that aren't like required.
Yeah, there's a lot that
aren't required. And you can like activate them.
Yeah.
And if you accidentally do that,
if you're not prepared,
then that will kill you usually.
The other thing that's annoying, right, is the way the game is designed. Because it also, this is another thing that they say is to make it more difficult. I just find it annoying. They don't do a lot of explaining. So, there's mechanics to it. Most of them won't be explained. You just have to figure it out. And that's fine if it's a game that isn't quite so punishing if you do something wrong. I think personally, I don't mind having to learn mechanics that aren't like spoon fed to me, but to have to learn them while also have to be like playing extremely cautiously makes it hard to be trying new things. So
yeah.
I don't know. For me, what they're trying to do and the way they're trying to do it just didn't quite work. And stuff like the bosses. So the bosses are where the game's challenge ramps up, as most bosses should be.
Mm-hmm.
If you die at a boss, you still have to go all the way back to a checkpoint, and then you either have to figure out a shortcut back to the boss, And sometimes that's not exactly obvious. It'll be like, oh, there's a gap in the fence and you can drop off there onto a roof and etc, etc. Or you have to fight your way through all of the enemies that you've already fought to get to the boss. And some of these sections can take like 20 minutes to half an hour. Now, the problem with this is the way that the game wants you to beat bosses is it wants you to fight them enough times that you learn what the boss is going to do. Which is fine, but it's real annoying when every time you die, you then have to spend up to like maybe half an hour getting back to that point to then try and learn, oh, okay, so if I get the boss down to 50% health, he's going to change and now there's a whole new move set that's going to kill me and I have to learn.
Yeah.
I just don't understand why they've made it so frustrating. Like, because you could still have difficult bosses but have a checkpoint right outside the boss room and it still works with what they want. You can still go and fight the boss as many times as you want and learn its move pattern, but you now don't have this, what is essentially a pointless half-hour excursion to get there.
Okay, so my final counter argument, and it's not me arguing this is just a sort of observation of the people that do love Bloodborne and Dark Souls and those sort of games. Mm-hmm. My theory is this game is built for a certain kind of player. Masochist. I don't think it's the kind of player you are.
No.
No, genuinely. There is an element of masochism to Bloodborne and Dark Souls where these players like to be punished for failing.
Yeah.
Because the sense of achievement they get when they complete something is more. Because for you, what is like an annoying half hour that you've got to retread because you just want to get the boss done to get through it.
Yeah.
For them, it's like, that's my penance for failing.
Yeah.
And I want to be the best and I want the game to be harsh to me.
Yeah. Which is
I don't think it's necessarily like a problem. I just think that it's probably not a game that was designed for someone like you, and not particularly for someone like me. I think that's why I ended up stopping, was because I was like, it's too much of a time sink.
Yeah.
To do stuff.
And so this is the other thing, right? Is most of the bosses that there was. I'll be honest. When you killed a boss first time, it did feel good because you were like, I've got one over the game almost.
Yeah.
Because you're like, this game wants me to have to do it loads of times. I've just done it once because I'm so fucking good. So that did give you a good feeling. Most of the bosses honestly aren't that difficult, especially once you do learn the movesets and everything.
Yeah.
However, because I'm broken, I couldn't just complete the story of the game. I had to like practically 100% the game. I had to get all the
Which
trophies.
is hilarious because we had a conversation with you where we said, like, when are you going to say you've completed it? And you said, I'm just going to defeat. I know there's these like optional final bosses. I'm not going to do them. I'm going to be done once I complete the main story bosses and like get that first ending.
Yeah.
And then sort of maybe a day before you did that bit, you were just like, yeah, so like I'm doing all the other bosses as well.
Yeah, I just, the broken part of me just kicked in and was like, look, do it.
Yeah.
And there were 3 bosses out of probably about 30. There were 3 that were hard. Like, I want to throw my controller hard. Like,
is it the bonus bosses?
Yeah.
Yeah.
There were 3 that were like that, where I was like, and the problem is the way I am. When a game gets that difficult and you finally beat the boss, doesn't even feel good. You don't even feel relief. You're just like, thank fuck that's over. What's the next bullshit challenge? Like, one of the bonus dungeons cuts your health in half.
Yeah.
Doesn't really... The enemies hit slightly less, but like 15% less than they normally would hit.
Yeah.
It's ridiculous. And like, again, those dungeons, getting to the boss is fine. And these extra dungeons, actually, to their credit, do have checkpoints close to the boss rooms.
Are these are they called chalice dungeons?
Yeah, they are.
Yeah.
But honestly...
I mean, they fascinate me on a different level, which is the fact that, like, I heard, it probably isn't too recent now, but maybe a few months ago, or maybe late last year, I saw a post going around where people were like, holy shit, we've just discovered a whole new enemy in this game.
So,
and
there's 2 different types of chalice dungeons. There's one where the dungeon is basically built and it's always the same bosses, and then there's another one where it's like procedurally generated.
Were you doing the pre-built ones?
Yeah, the procedurally generated ones you didn't need to do for any trophies, thank fuck.
Got you, yeah, because that's the one where they discovered, which I think is really fascinating, that the game had been out so long.
Yeah.
And because of the way it was built, people still hadn't seen everything. I think that's quite a cool thing, just in terms of like a developer being kind of cool to their gamers.
Yeah, that's, you know, It was a good game. I think that was cool, but it was just too annoying to be good, in all honesty. I'm pleased I've done it. I can't say it was a particularly enjoyable experience.
Yeah, that's fair. To be fair, that's probably what most people who play Dark Souls and Bloodborne say.
Yeah,
I don't know if anyone really enjoys the games.
What I would love is if we ever use our Twitch channel, I would love to see you twitching yourself playing this, because I think it'd be hilarious.
I don't think it would be.
I think it would. Especially if you could get to some of those fucking annoying bosses.
But I don't think I'd get... Like, I'd just get normal angry and then stop.
I honestly, there was like a couple of times where... Like, I don't really get angry, ever.
Yeah.
Especially at stuff like video games. Like, a pet peeve of mine is like the ragey gamers.
Yeah.
Like, you have a friend that you sometimes play with who just gets way too ragey, and I can't deal with that. It's just... I don't play these games to get angry. I play them to chill out.
Yeah.
And yeah, so for this game to have, like, to get me to that stage where I'm, like, wanting to punch things, I don't know if I can emphasise enough just how annoying the game has to be to get me to that stage.
That's fair.
I think the only other time I've had a game in recent memory that's been like that was trying to get some of the trophies for Crash Bandicoot.
Yeah, I was going to say that. I think you had a couple of stories from that sounded similar.
Yeah, which is another game that I think you were just like, this isn't for me.
It was one of those games where I played it and I was like, yeah, I've got all the nostalgia of playing Crash Bandicoot, and then like it starts to get difficult, and I was like, I'm good. I had the nostalgia.
Yeah.
When I want to feel that nostalgia again, I'll go play some, but I'm good.
Yeah. So
that's why I'm waiting for Spyro, because Spyro isn't going to be...
It was never a hard game, was it? Yeah.
So I'm looking forward to that, because that would just be nostalgia and sort of chilling out, I hope.
I'm kind of looking forward to... there's a couple of games that they're remaking I'm looking forward to. Resident Evil 2. So that was another one that I've got a lot of nostalgia for, and I don't remember it ever... I definitely completed it when I played it, so it couldn't have been that hard. And Final Fantasy 7.
Yeah.
Which is another game that, like, it's long, but it's not necessarily hard.
Yeah.
As far as Bloodborne goes, yeah, I basically spent probably about, I don't know, 30 to 50 hours completing this game just so I could say to you and Dan, no, my first points do still stand.
Yep, that's fine.
Fucking annoying. 2 out of 5.
Cool.